chapter, only the energy and craftiness of men is able to overturn a mountain. And have we overturned some mountains? Absolutely we have. And not only have we overturned some mountains, we have created some mountains. Case in point, Mount Rumpke. We've created mountains. And it's not only that we're creating mountains in the modern day, we've created mountains in the past. Case in point, the Herodium in Palestine. Herod built a mountain, and that mountain was to be his fortress and one day become his tomb, and it did. So men tear down mountains, men build up mountains. Whether in ancient times or in modern times, men have been shaping the world around them. So true. And of course, verse 10 and verse 11, he cuts the channels in the rock. It's actually as if man himself is a force of nature, as if he is like the water that also cuts channels in the rock. The ability of man to control the course of nature and the course of water itself, if you notice there in verse 11, he dams up the streams, has been known from times ancient. The Egyptians were the best at studying and controlling the Nile. They knew exactly the moment, the minute that the Nile was going to flood. They had watched it and cataloged it and studied it. They could clock it with no problem whatsoever. They were able to divert it. They were able to use it. They were able to dam it. They were able to guide it. They were the masters of water. And so men since ancient times have been doing this very thing. So we come to the end of verse 11 and we kind of pull on our lapels a little bit. Yeah, we are pretty creative. Our labor is pretty wonderful. We are such creative creatures. Not even the lion in the jungle knows as much about how to be creative and find these precious metals. Not even the falcon in the sky can see what a man can see when he digs that tunnel. No one is able to control the course of water in nature like man. Only man can be a force like that and change even the course of the waters. Okay, so we know all that. We understand our knowledge, how great it is, how strong we are, how mighty, how intelligent, how creative, how persistent, how wonderful. Where is wisdom? Well, wait a minute, Job. We were just talking about precious things. Right. Well, maybe we could catalog wisdom as a precious thing as well. Okay, let's say we do. So where is wisdom? Well, we look back to verse 1 and we know where silver can be found in a mine. We know where gold can be found in a mine. We know where iron can be found in a mine. We know where copper can be found in a mine. Where can wisdom be found? Surely men can find out the place of wisdom and understanding. They're so creative. Their labor is so intense and so persistent. Surely we can find where wisdom is, because that would be a very precious thing to have. Verse 12. But where shall wisdom be found? And where is the place of understanding? Verse 13. Man does not know its worth. Okay, so where do we find it? Well, verse 13 tells us it is not found in the land of the living. So we can't go under the earth and find wisdom. We can't crawl around the top of the earth and find wisdom. We can't go to the highest mountain or to the deepest sea. We cannot find wisdom in the land of the living. And you'll notice that Job brings in two witnesses right here. Number one is the deep. Now these two witnesses speak, and men have been plumbing the deep places looking for gold ever since men have been. And now the deep speaks. And the deep says, it's not in me. The other witness, the watery world of the seas, rises up to testify and says, it's not in me either. I don't know why that just sounds like my two sons. When I would say, where's my wrench? And Adam would say, it's not in my room. And Aaron would say, not in my room either. Yeah. Well, it's not in me. And the sea says, it's not in me. And then verse 15. Not only do we not know where to find it, not only does the natural world tell us it's not here, but even if it were, we wouldn't know its price. Verse 15 says, it cannot be bought for gold, and silver cannot be weighed as its price. You see, we can smelt and refine gold, and we can set a price for the same, but no matter how much we have, it's not enough to buy wisdom. Verse 16, it cannot be valued in the gold of Ophir, in the precious onyx or sapphire. Piloting the deep darkness of the earth, men dig the sapphire. Verse 6 tells us that. But even if we could find the most precious sapphire or onyx or gold, even the gold of Ophir was the most precious and the easiest to refine gold in the ancient world. Even if we had that, wouldn't be enough because we don't really know its price. So we don't know its price. We don't even know what it's worth. Look at verse 17, 18, and 19. Gold and glass. Isn't that interesting that he includes glass there? Glass must have been a high-quality item in Job's day. Gold and glass, notice this next phrase, cannot equal it. You'll see that repeated here. Again, this is a psalm of praise. It cannot be exchanged for jewels of fine gold. What's a jewel of fine gold? You go down to your silversmith place of business and you say, hey, I want to make a bracelet for my wife and I want to make it out of silver. And he says, oh, I can do that for you. He says, what do you want in it? What kind of stones? And you tell him what kind of stones. And what kind of colors do you want in it? You tell him what kind of colors. You say, how big is her wrist? And you kind of describe your wife's wrist. And so he says, come back next week. Next week you come back, he's got this beautiful little bracelet made that would just slip nicely over her wrist with this great big piece of topaz set in that silver band with little diamonds placed around it and maybe a little gold border. That's what Job means here by the jewels of gold. The jewels of fine gold is that which has been created by men, which is of great value. No mention shall be made of coral or crystal, other items of great value. The price of wisdom, notice this next statement, is above pearls, another precious item. Remember Jesus told us about the pearl of great price? Well, here we have pearls mentioned. Wisdom is even above pearls, nor can it be valued in pure gold. And notice also there in the first phrase in 19, the topaz of Ethiopia cannot equal it. So gold, glass, jewels of fine gold, coral, crystal, topaz, pure gold, none of that, pearls, none of that equals wisdom. So in all of our great creativity, and all of our marvelous understanding, and all of our great learning that we have in this life, yet we don't know where wisdom is. We don't understand the price of wisdom, and even if we did, we wouldn't know how much it's worth. We wouldn't even know how much it's worth. So what good does all our great wisdom do us? Or our great understanding? What good does all our ingenuity do us? What good does all our persistent labor give us? Because nothing is equal to wisdom. Well, hold on to your answer. Because here's question number 2. Where is wisdom then? If wisdom is not in the land of the living, and we don't even know its price, and we can't even establish its worth or its value, then where is it? He comes to verse 20, and he asks the same question again. From where then does come wisdom? And where is the place of understanding? We just had that question up there in verse 12. Where is the place of understanding? Well, we know where silver can be found. I mean, that's all we've got. I know where gold is, and those are precious things. But wisdom, its value is so much higher than those precious things of the earth. Where is it? Because if it's that precious, shouldn't we be seeking it? If man will expend his labor and energy and creativity to dig in the dirt and find gold and silver, how come we won't expend all our energy, craftiness, and ingenuity to find wisdom, which exceeds in value all of these precious things that Job has mentioned? How come? How come we don't know where it is if it's that valuable? Where is it? Job wants to know. He's asking us, where is it? Where does wisdom come from? Where is the place of understanding? Well, look at verse 21. It is hidden from the eyes of all living and concealed from the birds of the air. Well, here we have the birds again, because their eyesight is the keenest of all creation. The birds can't see wisdom. And notice it says it's hidden from the eyes of all living. That includes us, ladies and gentlemen. We can't see where wisdom might be. So just like the birds who couldn't see the precious things of the earth, so we nor they can see wisdom or understanding. And then we have two more witnesses. In the first question, where is wisdom? We had the deep and we had the sea show up and say, well, it's not in me. Now we have two more witnesses show up, Abaddon and death. Abaddon is the Hebrew word for the pit. It's the place where the dead go. So it's like hell. It's the afterlife. But it's a dark place. As a matter of fact, in the book of Revelation, we have the angel of Abaddon show up. So it's a real place. This is not fictitious. So Abaddon now speaks as if it had its own voice. And death, who's in Abaddon, now speaks. So these two eternal things, death and Abaddon, now are going to tell us about wisdom. They tell us, who knows? Death and Abaddon say, we heard a rumor with our ears. Don't know if it's true or not, but you judge. There is one who knows. In verse 23, they tell us, God understands the way to it. He knows its place. Oh, so now we have a guide. Now we have someone like men who know how to get to the gold and the silver, the iron and the copper. Now we have not just a guide, but someone who can tell us all about it. He knows exactly where it's at, and his name is the Lord God. God understands the way to it. He knows its place. Secondly, he sees what the mighty eagle cannot and what men are not able to see. Notice verse 24, for he looks to the ends of the earth and sees everything under heaven. He sees everything under heaven. Do you think that might include you? Sure it does. It includes gold. It includes silver. It includes all that the birds cannot see, all that the lion doesn't care to see, everything that man thinks he sees, and even the very heart of men. The two witnesses speak again, and they tell us who he is. Verse 25, when he gave to the wind its weight, and apportioned the waters by measure, when he made a decree for the rain, and a way for the lightning and of the thunder. So here we know who he is, because Abaddon and death tell us he is the Creator God. He gave the wind its weight. Now you think about that for a moment. The wind has a weight. I was out in the yard yesterday and it was kind of windy. It was nice. Didn't feel like the wind had much weight to me. But you get in a whirlwind, a tornado, or a hurricane, the wind's got some weight to it. He assigned that weight to the wind. He not only assigned the weight to the wind, but he measured. Now this language here, he apportioned the waters by measure, means that he had a cup, a measuring cup, and he carefully measured out every drop of water that is. He measured it all out. He knows exactly how much water is in this world. How much is suspended in the clouds, how much is in the oceans, how much is in the rivers, how much is in the lakes. The Lord has measured every single drop. That's who he is. So God understands the way to it. Oh, by the way, he happens to be the creator of all things. He made a decree for the rain. He made a way for the lightning. The two witnesses speak again. And then they tell us in verse 27 that he found wisdom and understanding. Notice verse 27. Then he saw it and declared it and established it and searched it out. Just like a miner finding a great gem, the Lord has seen wisdom. He saw it, and he didn't pass by it, because then it says